Hi, Mariel. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story today. I think, it's just so beneficial for people to hear how it's possible to really find relief and to feel so much better. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Leah.
Um, yeah. And do you want to maybe just start out by telling us a little bit about who you are and what your biggest frustrations and struggles were when you were initially looking for support?
Yes, so my name's Mariel. I'm a mom of two, a little boy and a little girl. I'm also a teacher. I've been in education for almost 20 years. And when I first started, when I seeked out for help with you, I think one of my biggest frustrations is I thought I was doing everything, correctly and eating, the healthiest I could eat, and just so many things that I always thought were the right thing to do.
Right.
And still I wasn't feeling well. I was having a lot of episodes of like gut issues, such as like IBS and acid reflux, severe acid reflux. And I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out what was triggering everything and why I was just not feeling my greatest when I thought I would, I was exercising, I was doing everything that you're supposed to do, and still I wasn't.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. And it can be really overwhelming when you feel like you're working really hard and doing everything you can, but you're not getting relief and don't know what else to do. I mean, I think, for so many people, it's just like the clarity around how to get out of that situation is so challenging. It's so challenging to know what's going to move you forward. And then you just end up kind of being on this vicious cycle of eating certain things, having reactions, and really just staying stuck and not knowing what to do to feel better.
Yeah, and if I
And
called, like, I called my doctor and I'd be like, okay, what's going on? And oh, just take this medication, and they'd prescribe me something, and I try it, and then it didn't work. And then, okay, well, that one didn't work. Now let's try this. And it was just, I'm like, I don't want to just be medicated without even, I wouldn't even have to go in to get tested for anything. It was just an automatic, take these meds and they'll make you feel better. Um,
right.
so that was frustrating for me as well.
Yeah, for sure. And for you too, you'd had some testing and stuff, right? But not really getting any conclusive like information or answers about what to
Yeah.
do to move forward. So like you should be feeling fine, but you were really not feeling very well at all.
Yeah, I actually went outside of my insurance to try to seek other medical, advice, a more
Yeah.
holistic way. I had some tests run, but I still couldn't put my finger on like, okay, this is what it is. I have to change this, or I have to do this, just to make me feel my best.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So
Um, so what were some of the symptoms you were struggling with? Like, do you mind sharing some of that?
yeah, so some time ago I had a more of a stressful job, and I don't know if that is what kind of made my gut even bad, because I skipping meals, I wasn't eating at the times, even though I was eating healthy food, I was doing things that I um in hindsight I shouldn't have. I should have taken more care of myself. But I was having a lot of acid reflux for like not just like a day, or the day I ate something, or it was like weeks, months long, where it was just from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep, just having these issues. Or sometimes, and sometimes when you teach, you can't always, go to the restroom or go, and
Yeah.
having just these stomach pains that I didn't know, where they were coming from. And just very uncomfortable. And as a mom, you want energy, you want to be able to provide for your family, and be
Yeah.
present, and play with your kids. And it just it would make me feel very like sluggish, like I didn't want to do anything,
Yeah.
only because it just felt so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you saying, there's times when I don't want to go and do these social things with my family and not having the energy, but just not feeling well enough to participate as much as you want to, or like you're saying, to be present or to show up fully for for your family. It's so exhausting to be in that spot. And again, to not know what triggers it, how long it's going to last, or because I remember when we first started working together, you were having a flare that really was like, you didn't know when it was going to end. And
it felt like it was never going to end. I was like,
I
I was honestly, I think when we met, like I was feeling very hopeless, like very like, okay, the doctor gave me these medications, it didn't work. I'm trying to do this and it's not working. And it's just like, what else? Like, is this how I'm going to live the rest of my life? Like, and that can, bring on like a little bit of anxiousness, like, okay, what's going to happen to me if I don't want to live my life feeling this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Super anxiety provoking. I think that's one of the most important things to share with people too. We'll talk about kind of where you are now and what's shifted and changed, but just that there is hope, that there are things you can do. You just have to find the right fit for you, put the puzzle pieces together for you as an individual versus just a medication or a protocol that is designed for whoever versus customized to what you need. Because as we've uncovered, there are foods that are super healthy that can be triggering those symptoms. And like you said, you were eating really healthy foods. You're eating nuts and seeds and whole foods and vegetables and, some meats or animal proteins and these things that we think of as really healthy. And so many of them are, but we had to figure out which ones really worked for your body and which ones were really triggering your body. So now that you've uncovered some of that, how are you feeling now? Like, do you want to talk a little bit about what's changed and where you're at?
I mean, I'm feeling great. Like I thought this day would never come where I was just feeling like, wow, like, is this real? Like, can I actually feel this day every day?
I love that.
But just, you were just like a wealth of knowledge, Leah. Like I feel like, I like to read a lot. Like I'll buy books, I'll go online, do my own research, but there was so much that I learned with you. Like I feel like you gave me the tools to, anything that comes on now that's gut related. Like I know how to, do away with it without having to go months, feeling this way. So I think I had eaten something, I had like a little flare and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, another 4 or 5 months of this, and no, it was like, I did some of the things that, you advise that I do. And it took like 2 days, like, for me to be feeling better. And, whereas before it was like months and, and so you just really gave me the tools. Like, I know where to go if, hopefully I don't go back to feeling the way I had felt, but if I do, I know what I am to do, to make myself feel better.
I think that is the most important thing, that you have the tools to come back to a good baseline and that you can take charge of that versus turning to your doctor again, who maybe wants to give you another prescription or another medication. I mean, there are doctors who are super versed in this, but it's not the way our system is set up to look at these food and lifestyle pieces. And so I love that you're saying that you have the tools, because it's like teaching someone to fish instead of giving them a fish, right? You now have what you need so that you can check in with your body and get back to a nice balance instead of relying on someone else who may or may not have the right information for you to do it for you. So I think that's huge and so empowering. I remember getting to that point in my own journey, and it's like so empowering to be like, okay, I can figure this out. I can take control of these things instead of needing someone to come and fix it for me.
Yeah. And just learning like about the different foods, even, the healthy foods that I thought, but, some foods may not be for your body, or some foods, you do well with and some foods you don't. So just learning all the layers of that was just very empowering and very, it was like, just, it opened up my eyes to, what I thought I knew wasn't, so that was also huge. Just, I feel like I learned so much from you.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. And I mean, it really is like when your eyes are open to that, you can really figure out anything. You can even use those tools in other areas of your life. And maybe we can talk. Oh, go ahead.
I want to point that out, that it's not, the times we met with you, it wasn't just about the diet. It was almost like a whole, body approach, and just, working with the stress levels and working, it was just a little bit of everything, which I loved, like the tools that you gave me were not just for the foods, it was different habits or, forming different habits or, doing things to de-stress, how to have just different outlooks on things. So that was just, I appreciated that it wasn't just focused on one thing, but it was, you looked at the whole person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's so necessary. I think that when we're just focusing on this one piece, you're going to find some relief, but really all of these things are stressors on our body and on our gut. And your gut is so foundational in your health, in your mental health, in your physical health. And so, if we only look at the food piece, then you're always going to be just tweaking your food. And like, as we've seen, like over time, you can really get to a place where you're healing and then start to add foods back in, and your diet can really get wider again versus just feeling so limited and like, I need to stick to this for forever. Like these foods are not working for you right now. It doesn't mean they won't work for you forever as you heal and that unfolds. So I think it's so important to bring in all the other pieces because they really are all stressors on the gut. And if we leave those alone, it's like you'll get better to an extent.
Yeah.
But then, it kind of caps your experience where when you're looking and supporting your body holistically, it's the possibilities are limitless.
Yeah, and we did do that with the foods. Like at first I did do because I was just scared of eating anything because I'm like, what is causing this? But then slowly we started adding things that were okay to eat. And I, you guided me through all of that because I wouldn't have known what to add back or what to, avoid forever. So that was also good.
Yeah, that's huge. And now and then you can keep building from that. You can keep testing things at different times and being like, okay, well, maybe I can tolerate a little bit of this now. And that can continue to expand. So how do you feel like it's impacted? I think when we're sick with this kind of a chronic issue, it really impacts and we've already talked about like physical health, mental health, but it really impacts our lives and our ability to show up. So what are you noticing that's different in your life now, like with you, now that you're feeling better, you have your energy back and you're not so having to hyper focus so much on your health. What other areas do you see it kind of?
I think it just like I feel more energized, like I can do things now, like that maybe I had put a little bit of a pause on. I'm like working out on a more regular basis, whereas before I was just not feeling like doing it because I was kind of in a in a place where I just didn't feel good. And so even with my kids, with my own kids, it gives me, energy to go outside and play at the park with them and go, just different things. And I'm able, there was times where when it got really bad that if I needed to be like by a bathroom or something, like, I'm like, I don't really want to go out. Cause what if, I start feeling this way over there, or what if, and so now I don't have to worry about those things. And some of the things that, we even talked like about recipes and some of the things that you taught me, like, I know now, okay, I need to do this, if I'm going to go somewhere, I know exactly, what I'm supposed to take, or, what is okay to eat, and my body will still, be okay. So it just the social aspect too, I think, changed a little bit.
Yeah, that's huge. And it does really flow into that. Cause like you said, when you're not feeling good, maybe you don't want to be somewhere just because the bathroom situation could be inconvenient, or just because like you can't participate, or you can't, you're not feeling well enough to really want to be around people, or like so many of those things. It just impacts so many other areas of our life. So I love that you brought that in and that you can play with your kids now. Like those are huge things to be able to show up for. And it's awesome. It's awesome that that's where you're at now.
Yeah, it's almost, at the beginning, I think when someone's going through something, you feel like you're going to stay there forever, and you feel like, this, I'm just going to have to accept this and just live with this. And it's not the case. There's so much that can be done. And I'm in such a different place now than when we started to work with each other. Like I feel like a different person, like it just, so I very appreciate that very much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's been such a pleasure and like such an honor to walk this with you too. I think meeting every week and really getting to see like where you're at, what do we need to do to shift, and Yeah, it's
And
just
I like that. Like, you know, if one thing didn't work, okay, now we're going to try this. You know, it was like you never gave up on just like, okay, that didn't work, then forget it. You know, it was just like, okay, what now we're going to do this, and now we're going to do
yeah.
this until we figured it out.
Yeah, you
And
have to. You have to keep trying things because really it is that trial and error, right? Because it's not going to be the same for you as the next person. And there's some common patterns sometimes, but it is not the same for any two people. What we need, which foods support us, what we can incorporate into our lives, right? Like with stress relief techniques and things like that. Some people have more time than others. Some people are more drawn to different techniques. So yeah, it's been really fun to put those puzzle pieces together with you. And like, I'm just so thrilled for you that you feel in control and empowered with what you need to really navigate if something does come up. Like you said, we don't have any reason to think that you're going to be there again. But like, if you go and you splurge and one of your major trigger foods ends up in a dish that you've eaten and you come home, then you know what to do to get back to your baseline. You know, like, okay, I kind of went overboard last night. Let's do these things and I'm going to feel okay again. Like I know I'll get past this instead of wondering if it will
yeah.
ever end.
Yeah. And
So
then one thing I think a very important thing I learned too was just listening to your body. You know, you're always living in such a rush to, you know, okay, I have to go to work now. I have to cook dinner. I have, you know, and just taking the time to really listen to your body. I think that was a big learning I got from you. So yeah.
it is, isn't it? Because we're not taught that.
Yeah.
And really, like kids are pretty good at that. And then we unlearn it somewhere along the way. Like they know how, as little people, we know how to listen to what our bodies need, what we want, what we don't want. And then we have all these shoulds that come in, you know, and it's like, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And like, then we think that there is this way we're supposed to be or the way we're supposed to eat or think or whatever. And it's really like kind of uncovering that to be like checking back in with what we did as kids and being like, okay, well, what does my body actually need or want right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I practice that for everything, you know, just everything in life. Like, okay, does this, you know, is this going to be good for me? You know, not just with food, just other things, you know, like, you know, in my personal life, like, you know, do I, you know, if I'm looking at a job or something, you know, and like, is this a good time to move? Is this, you know, I apply some of the things that you taught me to different parts of my life, not just the food aspect.
That's huge. And it is applicable to all of it, you know, with any career shifts or parenting. I mean, parenting is so challenging and our kids are always changing. Like if we just can keep doing the same thing all the time, that you know, it's very static and it might not be what works best for the family, but the more you can check in. So I think that's one of the biggest tools really that we can learn. So I love that you're saying that and that it's been helpful in all those areas. Yeah.
Definitely. And I just want to encourage, like you know, you were kind of my ray of hope and just, you know, I would look forward to our sessions for the week. I'd be like, oh, today's the day I meet with Leah. So it was just really comforting to, you know, I to just learn everything you have to offer and put it into practice in my life. You know, I always looked forward to my kids and my husband knew not to come interrupt me because this was my time, you know, so it was kind of
self-care time.
Nice. Yes, my self-care time. So it was like,
that.
It was nice. You were the highlight of my week.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you. And it's, yeah, same, you know, it's like when you're on this journey, I feel like we just kind of partner and we're going to do this together and we're going to figure it out. And like, when you set out with that intention and then support your body holistically, it's really hard not to get results, you know, and you know, you're determined, like, we are going to figure this out. There's ways to feel better. And if you have symptoms, there is something still triggering you. So let's figure out what that thing is. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So do you have any like last words or words of wisdom for people who are, you know, maybe thinking about doing something like this, but they're on the fence or, you know, they just don't know what to do? I think it's so common that, because I know I was there, I know you've described that, like to just feel stuck and like not know if you're actually ever going to get past this. Yeah.
I would recommend people to just jump on board and just try to work with you to figure out because like I said, everyone has their individual needs or their bodies are different. And it just, like, you know, it was very eye-opening what you had to teach. And I don't know if you'd ever notice, I'd be taking notes of like the
Yeah.
things you're saying, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, you know, or, you know, even, you know, the digestive enzymes, you know, the different things that you learn. I would just really encourage someone that's feeling like, you know, you don't have to live feeling, you know, bad forever, or feeling like your gut is just not going to ever heal, because there is, you know, it will heal over time, but you just need to have the right resources. And I think you were kind of my guiding light to, you know, go back to feeling 100%. So if you're on the fence, don't be on the fence, just do it. You will not regret it, and you will see results. And if you don't, Leah will accommodate you to like try to find something else. Yeah, so
We'll figure it out together. Yeah.
yes.
Well, and we all need support. You know, that's kind of what I'm hearing you say right now, too. Like, you need the resources, you need the knowledge. But I know for me, too, it was very similar that I was trying to DIY it for so long, but
Yeah.
I wasn't getting, I was feeling a little better with each thing I did until I felt worse again, you know, and like I just wasn't getting out of that hole. But when you have someone to reflect and to really like just help you see what, like sometimes we just don't see it all ourselves. And I am in that boat too. I need someone to help me do that, even with all the knowledge and the resources and how long I've been doing that. We all need someone else to say, hey, what about that? Or that doesn't seem right. Or
Yeah.
let's look at this pattern. So I
Yeah.
mean, it really is finding the right kind of support for you is like such a game changer and can
Yes.
finally get you out of that cycle of
Yeah,
sensitivity.
and this is worth, I mean, just doing these sessions with you, like, gosh, if I could, you know, if I wish I would have seen you on Facebook way before, you know, I would have been like, you know, I would have been feeling better faster, you know, but I met you when I met you, but if, gosh, if I would have found you before, for sure, I would have signed up to, you know, to meet with you, because it has been life-changing and so appreciated. Yeah.